Morning, everyone. It's Sally, and I'm going to share another story with you of another Christian hero that J. John has been blogging about over the summer. And this week, we're going to be thinking about this lady, Harriet Tubman. Now, Harriet was born in 1822, and she was born into slavery in Maryland. Her name was Araminta Ross, and she changed her name later to Harriet and took Tubman from her husband. It's typical of Harriet's lowly status as a black slave that no one actually recorded the date of her birth. Like most slaves, Harriet received no education, and she was to remain illiterate all her life. She began work at the age of 5 as a housemaid, and soon suffered all the brutalities of slavery: starvation, whippings, beatings, and a particularly severe head injury that left her with lifelong problems. Yet amid this suffering, she was part of a dynamic church culture that gave her a firm faith in Christ. Harriet became a woman with a personal relationship with Jesus. She sought his guidance and frequently had vivid visions. She grew up in tumultuous times. The United States was becoming deeply divided over slavery. While the southern states supported the practice, the northern ones banned it and granted slaves freedom. As a result, an increasing number of slaves in the southern states chose to flee northwards on the long and dangerous route to liberty. When Harriet was in her late 20s, she felt God urging her to flee. Guided by God, and carefully avoiding the brutal slave catchers by using an organised network of guides and safe houses that came to be called the Underground Railroad, she fled to Pennsylvania. She was later to describe her feelings on crossing the boundary. When I found I had crossed that line, I looked at my hands to see if now I was free, I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came like gold through the trees and over the fields, and I felt I was in heaven. Then, suddenly aware that she had to survive on her own, she prayed, "Oh dear Lord, I ain't got no friend but you. Come to my help, Lord, for I'm in trouble." Harriet decided to try and rescue those she'd left behind. So for 11 years, she made dangerous journeys into Maryland, traveling in winter nights and hiding from slave hunters and their dogs. She brought out family, friends, and strangers through the Underground Railroad. She made 19 expeditions south, escorting over 300 slaves to freedom. Among her own people, she acquired the nickname of Moses because of her role in bringing them to the promised land. Her success and her ability to avoid escape became legendary. In part, it was due to God guiding her and her courage, intelligence, and determination. She was also helped because the increasingly troubled slave owners came to believe they were dealing with a powerful man rather than a small black woman. Typically, Harriet attributed her success to the Lord's protection. Soon, slave owners posted wanted notices in which tens of thousands of dollars were offered for her, dead or alive. Harriet spent her later years in good works with her church, campaigning for the fair treatment of African Americans and promoting women's rights. She died on the 10th of March 1913 and was buried with military honours. So how can Harriet Tubman inspire and challenge us today? Firstly, she was full of faith. She may have been illiterate, but throughout her life, she drew on rich resources of Christian faith and personal experience. God sustained her in war and peace. Secondly, Harriet triumphed over extraordinary difficulties. She was born into slavery and poverty. She had no education. She suffered an incredible amount, including an almost crippling physical injury. Yet for all the little she had, or perhaps because of it, God was able to do great things through her. Thirdly, her faith in Christ gave her courage. She had courage to carry out daring actions in perilous situations. She also had the courage to keep on battling on issues over years. Many of us could use a dose of that courage today. Fourthly, Harriet didn't get too comfortable. When she reached freedom, she could have stayed there. Instead, she chose to make repeated return journeys to bring others to liberty. The idea that if you're saved, you should save others is a good one. And finally, she resisted hate. The greatest danger in combating evil is that in the struggle, you can become evil yourself. So many of Harriet's abolitionist contemporaries felt it was justifiable to kill slave owners. She drew back from that. She shunned hatred and revenge. Her Christian faith gave her not just a resolve, but also restraint. It's a good lesson. Harriet Tubman was a woman who found herself at the heart of monumental issues. Despite being ill-equipped in almost every way, she leaned on God and was able to serve with remarkable success. We face very different battles from those that Harriet did, but we serve the same God. Let's hear God's voice like Harriet did and do his will with wisdom, patience, and courage. And if you're interested in finding more about Harriet, there's a film called Harriet, which is based on her life, based on the true story of her life, which came out last year. I haven't seen it myself, but I certainly plan to watch it soon. Have a great day.